And hello, you're listening to the Elise Richmond Show again. And we are now sitting with yet another speaker at the Sustainable Renewable Forum, the free forum here in Rancho Mirage. We're talking about AB 32 regulations and smart growth. And I have with me Darcy Brandon. And Darcy Brandon is a landscape architect. She specializes in EPA, forestry, and BLM processing. So I'm going to welcome you to the show first, Darcy. Glad that you could be here with us today. And I'm going to ask you, why in the world is a landscape architect here at AB 32 Regulation Sustainable Development Program?
Well, as a landscape architect, I don't deal much with AB 32 because that's the air. What I do deal with is the land, the water, and the plants and animals that are regulated.
Okay, I want to know actually how that would come together with landscaping, with all these regulations and the EPA. Then have you seen more?
Oh, absolutely.
Regulations. What is actually going on that you can tell us specifically?
Well, the EPA has regulations that regulate clean water. So whenever there's a construction project, you have what are called BMPs, or best management practices, and those are practices put in place by the EPA to reduce or completely eliminate any water runoff from a construction site project so that you don't pollute waters downstream.
Okay, and then how would we connect this to United Nations Agenda 21?
Well, United Nations Agenda 21 has 40 different chapters, and some of those chapters in there deal with water use and keeping water clean and just how we use water. So there's a direct tie-in with Agenda 21 and how we manage our stormwater runoff.
And I picture this in terms of back to Agenda 21 and United Nations regulations being something like a bad sci-fi movie. They could actually at some point control the water usage in my own home, correct?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. They're talking about putting water meters on personal water meters so that they can maintain those and see where you're using your water, how you're using your water, just like the smart meters that they're installing.
Exactly. And back to smart meters, I can tell you right away that I did absolutely nothing with the smart meter. I had some guy come and knock on the door and say, I'm here to install this smart meter. And what was ironic about it was I had just spoken with Christina Watts. Christina Mike is here, and we had talked about that. Quite honestly, I just yelled back at him, "Who are you and what are you doing?" And he told me, and I said, "Excuse me, I am not able to have you come onto this property, period, much less to install this smart meter." And he said, "Oh, ma'am, I'm just doing my job." I said, "Then you should look at your job,
right,
because you're killing people." And that's basically what I said to him. And I said, "No, you may not come here." So I do have a big yellow tag.
Well, good for you.
And we're going to tell everybody right now that they need to get a big yellow tag.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Put on their electrical meter.
Right. And another thing with the EPA is the Endangered Species Act.
Oh, my, yes.
Yes. If you have an endangered species on your property, you're going to have a hard time getting anything done with that. And I've had clients who have had to deal with that. Or even a plant that is considered endangered is going to impact what you can do on your property. And that, again, ties into Agenda 21. There's a whole chapter on it in the book. So
exactly. I was speaking with one of the other speakers, Peter Foy or Warren Duffy, here about what happened up in Northern California with the smart growth that was supposed to be going on behind our home. And I had a friend call me up and say, "Well, Elise, all you really have to do is just find one of those spotted owls or find some little bug or find some little kind of thing and plant it out there, call the government in, they'll all freak out and say they can't do the development." So that would have been a little dishonest, but I'll tell you something, I had thought about it might have worked, because they all get so freaky behind all that stuff, for sure. Anyway, what do you see as the possibility down the line of some of these regulations being changed and dropped? Is there any way that this is ever going to happen?
Well, I think that's what we're doing here today, is educating people on how these things are impacting their lives and how they're impacting what they can do on their property. So I think it's going to start with education, and then we have to start at the local level and inform our city councils, our planning commissions, our county supervisors, and let them know what's going on, where this is coming from, that it's not just something put out by the APA, the American Planning Association, or some other organization, that there is an agenda behind the agenda, and that is Agenda 21.
Exactly. And another thing that I was thinking about while we were talking, Rosa Corey was here and she spoke to one of Christina Micas's meetings and group, and she has a book out.
Mm-hmm. It's a great book.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Behind the Green Mask.
Right.
And Rosa's book has a chapter in there about what you do at the local level.
Right.
And I think that that's something that I'm going to try to organize a little bit. I believe it takes some real activists reading those books and getting themselves educated, and then going in and saying, I'm really going to organize this. So we go right on into one of the city councils right here in the Coachella Valley, up in the high desert or wherever.
Right,
and we
right.
decide we're going to do this.
Right.
And we use a little bit of their tactics of how these regulations come down on us against them to educate people.
Exactly. Yeah, and that we're doing the same thing in San Diego. We've got a great core group of people together who are organizing, and we're going to start going to these meetings and just making it known that we're awake, we're aware, and we know what's going on.
Exactly. And you know what else, Darcy? I always think that women get right down to it. And
we don't mess around,
we
do we?
don't mess around. We take things to a point, and then it's like, this is it. The guillotine
Absolutely.
is falling, and I'm going to start getting busy because I have a real cause to save.
Absolutely.
And the cause is for the children, for the children, for the children. And now we add to that for California and for America.
Absolutely.
And as good patriots, I see that that's exactly what we have to have happen as we're going along. How did you kind of get your group going then, if you say you have a group that's starting to try to fight about this, or kind of go up against it
yeah.
and educate people?
We had a conference last November, and Rosa Corey came and spoke at it. Orlean Coley spoke at it, and I spoke at it as well. And out of that group, we had 120 people there, and we, said, if you're interested, please sign up for our task force, and we're going to start, making some plans and doing some things in the county. So from that, we've we're still new. We're still trying to get things rolling and get organized. But we had a training session last Saturday. We've got a speaker coming in March, and we're going out and we're going to these community meetings and whatnot.
Well, I thank you, Darcy, so much for being here on the Elise Richmond Show. We're going to come right back. I'm Elise Richmond, and this is 94.3 K News FM.